Team Freeview, welcome to our Codex review of Codex Adepta Sororitas.
I never thought this would happen.
You never thought it would happen?
Nope.
A lot of people didn't think it was happening, but it's here, it's in our hot little hands. Thank you again, Games Workshop, for sending us all of the preview material that you have.
Wonderful.
It's wonderful. And this book in particular, I mean, that artwork.
It's gorgeous. It's incredible.
Isn't it just...
It's beautiful.
It's just... my faith in the God Emperor has been renewed just looking at it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I feel like they've gone back to the grimdark feel with their artwork.
Yeah, with this one in particular.
When,
it was
a
period.
When 8th came out, it was a bit more shiny, wasn't it?
Everything was really bright and colourful, and
but the
bold.
artwork. I mean,
now
even just this first page here, you can't. You won't really be able to see it, but it's just like black and white, really grim tapestry of Tau being absolutely slaughtered.
And that's also
by
consistent
in
the artwork.
They seem to
Tau
like
always
hurting on
get-
Tau.
Yeah.
All we literally
Sure.
want to do is bind everyone together and be like, hey, we've got a better way of living, and yet we are always absolutely put down, cut apart, look, for the greater good. But we're not here to talk about Tau today, we're here to talk about this. So, I mean, first thoughts, I think this is a really interesting codex. I've not seen anything with this level of flavour come along for a while. It's interesting to see the way that it looks like the rules writers are moving with making these new books as well. I think when 8th started, everything was a little bit samey, but then there was like slight differences, and then it sort of built and built, whereas now we're really getting the individual flavour of different factions. I mean, it kind of started with the Space Marine supplements, to be fair. As I said, I've never seen this before, but there's different kinds of rules in here which no other army has anything like it. And that's what I'm talking about, like the individuality of it is really cool. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think when what I was really hoping for was obviously an improvement of the rules and the new units and whatnot, but then keeping that flavour was so important to me, and they've done that in spades.
Yeah.
All of the orders the rules are sort of akin to how they represent themselves. All of the models kind of are well represented by the rules. The miracle dice, the acts of faith, even the stratagems work really well. So this is what's just the battle alike, in my opinion. That really does sum up how it feels to play them, for sure.
Yeah, cool. What about you, Chef?
Oh yeah, no, I agree 100%. There's so much about it that just feels like an army of faithful militant with some weird miraculous stuff going on in the background. I just really like the idea of the and like all the callbacks to the classic stuff. So like, you know, I know we'll talk about it in a moment, but like the Sacred Rites, for example, they're all named after the old acts of faith, the passion, you know, so that sort of classic feel is still there, but then the actual acts themselves are like miracles, hence the name of the new stuff. I love the overall feel of it. I mean, it really does. It feels like they've got the fluff and the crunch just right. You know, in terms of rules and evocation of the rules and the background, I think is spot on.
100%. I think they've absolutely nailed it. So well done, well done. Let's get into the nitty gritty.
Yes.
Now, a lot of this, guys, has already been previewed, so we're not going to go into every unit, every stratagem, but we are going to do like a general overview of what we think is really cool, things to look out for, etc. And then we're going to talk about a bit more about our thoughts of how we will kind of build our own Sisters of Battle army, if we ever do that. And it's very tempting after getting this book. They're just fun. I find them really fun to play. So first things first, we should probably look at the army of the,
Ecclesiarchy.
Ecclesiarchy, thank you very much. Should have practiced that. This is where people say don't script things. Sometimes I need to, or at least know the names. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this on to Beard, because there's a few things in here which I think you need to read again based on the battle report that we released recently.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, you know, the acts of faith, the miracle dice in general, that sort of thing.
What would you like me to do first?
Well, first of all, I mean, I've given myself some cliff notes here. The first one says, we've done our first thoughts, so well done. We're going really well in the show here. Then we need to talk about the acts of faith, miracle dice. What are they and how do they actually work? Beard.
Very good.
So, if you'd like to let us know what is going on in this first chapter. as it
Sure.
were.
So it's very important you read these rules front and back, because I may have made a mistake or two in the first game.
Yes, maybe, but that's fine. That's fine. These things happen.
Okay.
So this is as much for Beard, this entire thing that we're doing, is for you guys as well. So yes, if you'd like to continue, please.
So we'll talk about orders properly in a bit. In terms of their abilities, they have the Acts of Faith.
Ha!
If your army contains at least one unit with this ability, you can perform one act of faith in each phase. To do so, you will use miracle dice.
Wow.
Miracle dice.
Miracle dice. So
Yep.
this, for those of you who know nothing about them, this appears to be an entirely new mechanic for the army.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Very
And
good.
one that was required.
Yes.
I think the acts of faith in the chapter approved rules update they had before was fluffy. Like it was fun and it kind of fit the fluff a bit, but in terms of a mechanic, it didn't work.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah,
In,
I think-
in terms
and
of gameplay and the enjoyment and payoff for doing acts of faith wasn't there for me.
Sure. And I think that seems like something that was shared throughout the community.
Yeah, there was a lot of feedback in regards to they didn't feel impactful enough. A lot of people just really wanted to go back to double shooting, double fighting, double moving, but Games Workshop have moved away from that sort of way of doing things so easily.
Yeah.
Yes, you can still do it, but you need to cast power, or there's limitations around it. These, I think, actually feel like a miracle is happening on the battlefield. I think they I'll say it again. I think they've nailed the combination of what that sort of act of that miraculous intervention should feel like.
Yes.
Almost like So I mean, we'll go through the rules, through the rules, and then you can kind of see where that sort of that notion is coming from. In terms of how it feels like a moment of divine spark, which is for me perfect.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so read how they actually work.
And now listen very carefully because you don't want to get this wrong.
No,
you don't.
No, we don't, do we?
No, we don't. You gain one miracle dice at the beginning of each battle round, and you gain one at the end of a phase if one or more of the following conditions are met. One or more times during that phase. So you have Vengeance, Sacrifice, Purity, and Valor. So Vengeance, a unit from your army with the Acts of Faith ability destroys an enemy unit.
Cool.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Sacrifice, a character unit from your army with the Acts of Faith ability is destroyed. I like this a lot.
Yeah.
Again, from a fluffy perspective, like they're martyrs and they're being rewarded for their
Yeah.
death in battle. Purity, a psychic power is resisted by a unit from your army with the Acts of Faith ability without performing an act of faith to do so as described below. That's Purity. And then Valor, you roll an unmodified 1 for a morale test taken for a unit with the Acts of Faith ability without performing an act of faith to do so as described below.
Very good.
When you gain a miracle dice, roll 1d6. The number you roll is the value of that miracle dice. This value cannot be changed unless a rule states otherwise. Keep your miracle dice to one side. This is your miracle dice pool.
Cool.
How do you use them?
How do you use them?
Let's
Tell us,
discuss.
Beard.
Tell us. So we've figured out that you get one at the beginning of your turn, and you
do.
get one at each phase if one of those, they're called Sacred Rites, are they?
One of the
Acts of Faith
One of these acts of faith
is actually achieved. Fine.
Yeah, one or more, but you can only get one
one.
per phase.
Yeah, cool.
So performing an act of faith, before making a dice roll, before making a dice roll.
Ah,
for
see,
a model,
it's written, the clue is in the rules.
literally the first 5 or 6 words. Before making a dice roll or unit from your army with the Acts of Faith ability, you can choose to use one or more of the dice from your miracle dice pool instead. For each individual dice that is being rolled as part of the dice roll, you can select one miracle dice from your miracle dice pool to be substituted in place of that dice. The dice that is being substituted for, is not rolled, and instead the value of the chosen miracle dice is used as if it has been rolled. Once all miracle dice substitutions have been made, remove the chosen miracle dice from your miracle dice pool and roll any remaining unsubstituted dice that are part of the dice roll. You can use a miracle dice to perform an act of faith for any of the following types of dice roll, and these are Advance, Charge, Deny the Witch, Hit roll, wound roll, saving throw, damage roll, morale test. That's it.
Cool.
So essentially,
And you can use one per phase, I believe. Is that right? Yes.
indeed. So if you are let's say you're using your Exorcist with its fancy new rules, and you have wounded 3 times, and you've got that key unit you need to destroy. If you've got some high dice, let's say you've got a 5 and a 6 in your miracle dice pool, instead of rolling one of the damage dice, you can be, right, this 6, boom, that's 6 damage, and then you roll the others.
And then you roll the others.
Yeah.
And
it's pretty cool.
It's good.
It's very unique.
It's very unique, and that's what I love about it. I
Yeah.
just think it's just really, really interesting, and you nailed it. It does feel like a bit of a miracle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you could see them all like pray, like we have to take this down.
Yeah.
God Emperor, give us the strength to do so, and he just gives that little blessing,
like,
and you get that 6.
Shoot them here.
Yeah, shoot them here,
Yeah.
so they just boom, like
Yeah.
fire that huge organ at them. And it's just really cool, and it can be super powerful when it's used correctly.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine the amount of times that I've been in a situation where I go, I need a 4 in this advance to get line breaker to win the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? If I've got one in my pool, bam, done.
Don't even need to worry
the
about
miracle is performed, and
Yeah.
you're in. And that's where I think the flavour of this is really, really cool. And it's not... While it can really be, if used properly, I think it can be absolutely game-changing, but it doesn't feel to me like a broken mechanic at all.
No.
It's going to be able to get you some really cool stuff at really appropriate times, but because you have to roll for all the dice, there is no guarantee that you're going to have that. There are some stratagems we'll talk about later that can manipulate that, but that's at a sacrifice of something else as well, which I think is really important. Like you go, I'm going to increase these, but I'm going to have to get rid of 3 of my other miracle dice to be able to do that. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, I really like the mechanic of it. So it's similar to the Disciples of Tzeentch from Age of Sigmar, but that's you start with a set number at the beginning of the game, and you can add to it later. Whereas this is built up over the course of the game, which I quite like. And again, it's very evocative of the as they're on the battlefield and they're performing these acts of valor and sacrifice, they are rewarded with miraculous interventions. And as you say, they can be very, very powerful, and they can be utterly game changing. I mean, how many times have you sort of, like you say, that 4-up advance, or where you go, I need to kill this vehicle, it has 3 wounds remaining, d6 damage, that's a 1. I have no CP left, bang, 3.
One of the most disappointing things is when you're trying to get a really clutch charge. And you miss it by like 1 or 2 or something. If you are clever with your maneuvering, and you know that you can use a miracle dice and you've got a high roll, you can get just close enough to guarantee you're going to get a charge, even if you're like like 7 inches away.
Well, the interesting thing with the charge roll is because it is 2 dice as part of the same roll. With the miracle dice, you can use 2 miracle dice there.
Sure.
So if you go, I need to make an 11-inch charge, 5 and a 6, because it's all part of the same roll. It doesn't.
I hadn't thought of that.
So you can't use it for like multiple attacks because they are done 1 at a time. But anything that involves multiple rolls at the same time, so a charge roll, I think that's pretty much the only example of their abilities that involve rolling more than 1 dice. But you could, in theory, go, I've got a 4 and a 3 in my pool. I need to make this 7-inch charge to just, I don't know, maybe there's like a tactical objective, or maybe that would put you then onto an objective, or tie up a tank, bang, done. It's almost like a guaranteed command point reroll. And again, I know we sort of keep saying it, but it really, really does just hammer home the miraculous intervention, right place, right time, all that sort, and it's so flavorful. It's so flavorful, as well as being a very, very powerful mechanic. If, as you say, you use it correctly. If you sort of go, you know what? I've got a 6 in my pool. I'm going to do 6 damage to that Redemptor.
To start wearing it down.
Start wearing it down. You go, great, awesome, and then you follow it up, and you go, or then later in the turn you go, I need to do 6 to that to finish it for Big Game Hunter or to get first strike. I can't.
They are tempting those dice. They
That's what I mean.
From the table, it's like, you want to roll? You want to use me?
I'm a 6. And that's what I mean when you start to think about using them properly. You're kind of when you get certain dice, you go, right, this is my battle plan going forward for the next 2 turns. When is this actually going to be the most efficient use of it? And that's when the army will really start to come into its own. Really start to come into its own. Cool. Okay, so those are the Acts of Faith.
Yes.
Which I'm sure that we can all agree have been a vast improvement. So well
Very
done,
good.
really, really good. Now talk about the Sacred Rites.
Yes.
Now
So-
I think these are very cool as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and with the Miracle Dice, it's only if, now forget this, I may have read this wrong, but it's only if you've got a pure army that you can do that? Or is that the
the other
Sacred
way around?
Rites?
So Sacred
Sacred
Rites
Rites.
is pure.
Yeah.
I think Acts of Faith even specifically says if you have one model,
one-
at
one-
least one
yeah.
model
One
with
model,
Acts of Faith.
fine. So it's Sacred Rite. Okay,
Yeah.
so forgive me, I got confused there.
So
Anyway,
think of Acts of Faith as the chapter trait,
right,
and the Sacred Rites is their chapter doctrine.
sure.
Yeah.
Keeping in line with all of
in line with all the supplements.
all the supplements
Yeah.
that we've been seeing. Okay, cool. That's a great analogy. Great. Well, let's talk about these Sacred Rites.
Indeed. So yeah, Sacred Rites, you have to have a full Adepta Sororitas or Adeptus Ministorum army.
I probably just shouldn't have interrupted. No.
So yeah, this is so good. There'll be absolutely no reason to think, you know what, I'm going to take an assassin. I think, or take a what are they called? Strike team, kill team. When you take all four.
Execution Force.
Execution
It's
Force.
weird that you can't. I will admit it's strange that you can't because
guess.
they are a wing of the. I mean, they are the Faith Militant. They are the militarum arm, the military arm. That's the word I'm looking for of the ecclesiarchy. It seems a bit odd that because they have such close ties to the Inquisition, it feels a bit strange that that an assassin would take that away from them.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I would agree with you though. I think these are a bit too good to give away for an assassin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just odd that an assassin stops you from getting it, given their fluff ties.
Given their fluff ties. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So in terms of determining, so there's 6 Sacred Rites essentially. In terms of determining what you get, you can either pick one at the beginning of the game, or you can roll 2d6 and then you can randomly determine them. If you do roll double, you only get one. You can't re-roll it, which is a bit sad. So it's a gamble.
Yeah,
it's a
it is a gamble.
I do feel that these are quite specific to the type of Sisters army you might like to run. So some of these are very good for certain types of armies. So in terms of the 6 Sacred Rites, you've got Hand of the Emperor, and that allows you to, when you advance, you add 1, and when you charge, you add 1, which is nice because there are some good combat-focused units in this book. Spirit of the Martyr, which is a good one, it's one of my favourites. When a model of the Sacred Rite is destroyed, you roll 1d6 before removing the model from play. On a 5+, that model can either shoot with one of its ranged weapons as if it were your shooting phase, or make an attack with one of its melee weapons if it was as if it was the fight phase. If the model has a damage table, use the bottom row when shooting with that ranged weapon or resolving an attack with the melee weapons. So, great example, when you are killing units in a Dominion squad and they just shoot you with a melter before they die, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Yes, I've been on the receiving end of that already.
It's a good one.
I was so frustrated.
It's my favourite.
The rage that lived in me.
Yeah, right. Age of the Emperor. When a Deny the Witch test is taken for a unit with that Sacred Rite, add 3 to the total. That is for a Sisters army that's very powerful.
Yeah, that's my favourite.
Yeah, so
100% my favourite.
So there's a few things in this book which just affect infantry. This affects pretty much everything because all your tanks have got Shield of Faith. So if you're facing something like Thousand Sons or Grey Knights or something like that, normally you've got not a huge amount of opportunity to deny because it's on a 1d6. And you kind of have to rely on someone rolling a 5 to try and deny it. But when you've got 7, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
You've got a good chance of denying some. And there's plenty of ways to regain miracle dice by denying. And there's a few tactical objectives and stratagems and things that work off this mechanic, which is really good.
Yeah.
So that is a very cool one. Divine Guidance. When resolving an attack against a ranged weapon with a Sacred Rite or an unmodified wound... on an unmodified wound of a 6, the AP is improved by 1. Now, I used this in a recent game with you, Chef.
It's horrific.
Yeah, over the course of an entire
It
game.
really adds up.
Oh, yes.
Because again, this isn't something that's just affecting your infantry and basic bolt guns. This is
Yeah.
affecting your tanks and all of those immolator flamers
Yeah.
and all of those heavy bolters. We all know how powerful an AP2 heavy bolter is with the current meta. Sure, this isn't all the time, but if you want to, you can spam AP1 and AP2 weapons quite easily with the
Yeah.
Sisters army, and they can pump out a lot of DACA.
Yeah.
And that will add up over the course of the game. The difference between a 4-up save and a 5-up save, especially on a Space Marine,
Huge.
is very significant.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a very, very powerful offensive one.
Yeah, and there's a lot more units that have heavy bolters now. Most of the tanks have got them incorporated into the hull. The Retributors, the heavy weapons unit.
Yeah, they can obviously have
heavy
4,
bolters.
but even on just like the Immolators and the heavy flamers.
Well, they can
Sixes
take
wound
twin
versus
heavy bolters
AP2.
now.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
and even again on your bolt guns, if you've got a unit of 4 or 5 Sisters in a half range, you get a couple of 6s in there for the -1.
Makes a
It
huge
can make
difference.
it can make all the difference in the long run.
You can take plenty of storm bolters as well.
Yeah, it's a very strong right.
I like it a lot. The Passion. When resolving an attack with a melee weapon by a model with the Sacred Rite and unmodified a hit roll of a 6, it scores 1 additional hit. It's alright. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like the Emperor, when a morale test is taken for a unit with the Sacred Rite, you can re-roll the dice. Which is probably the weakest one, I think. I don't know why you choose that over any of the other ones.
Again, I think it depends on what order you've taken, because I think there is an order which means that only one runs away on a morale, so you probably wouldn't want it with that one. But if you are, say, running units of 10 Sisters or units of 15 Sisters, because you can take them in quite big blobs, I believe, that might be an interesting one to take. But I agree, it's probably, there's better ones. It's not something that you'll sniff at if you get it. If you're rolling 2 and you get that in conjunction with an offensive one, I mean, your ideal scenario is you roll for them and you get Martyr and you get Guidance. So now you're getting the 6s to wound with the AP1, and then you're shooting again when you die, which would just be so obnoxious to play against. But as you say, it's random. What I like about it is the fact that you can kind of tailor that to your opponent. If you go, oh yeah, like I'm playing against Grey Knights, +3 to denies. All day.
All day, every day.
I'm playing against I'm playing against a Taoist, Spirit of the Martyr, because when you shoot me down, I will shoot you back. When you're playing against Marines, Divine Guidance for the extra AP on 6s. So you can really make it work. And again, it's really nice and fluffy because they're probably visited by, they've had the intel and, they've received communiques, but they're probably actually just praying for guidance from the Emperor, and he just goes, "You're fighting Thousand Sons tomorrow." And they go, "We must deny everything!"
Prepare the ages!
So, there's, again, it's a really fluffy thing, and you can interpret that as they're doing this mystical rite, and this sacred rite, as the name is actually called, in preparation for battle. It's just very cool. It's very, very cool. And again, it's that nice mix of good game mechanics alongside the fluffy aspect of it, which I really, really like.
Indeed. Aside from that, you've got the rules covering Shield of Faith and Zealots. Zealot you don't see so much. That's more Ministorum units,
the ecclesiarchy
units, like the priests and things like that. So you don't really see Zealot in the actual Sisters. But yeah, that's sort of like the core mechanics of the book.
And so, I mean, it's good. It's really good. I think the flavors of it, I think you kind of nailed it. The flavors there and the mechanics backs up the fluff. And there's lots of interesting builds that you can do. There's lots of new units, which segues.
Segues?
Yeah,
Sure.
Let's go with that.
The segues in now.
Now, we're not going to talk about all of the units because we'll be here all night. But we are just going to pick out a couple of new ones that we quite enjoy. Like I'm going to steal the easiest and the best one, which are the Exorcists now are incredible for their points. You will see 3 in each army, in my opinion. The fact that they are 3 D3 shots makes them incredibly powerful.
I'm very jealous.
Yeah, and you can just reliably pump out a lot of firepower. The average is, I think,
the average is 6 on 3D3. Yeah,
on 3D3, 6.
And it used to be that the max was 6.
Yeah, exactly. So now
your bell curve's much better. It's much nicer.
Much nicer. And there's stratagems which you can do to manipulate those dice. And there's a stratagem in there which I believe, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but removes all modifiers as well, so they become.
I think that's an order-specific stratagem.
It may well be, but if it's
if
it's the order I'm thinking of, it's
the order that
it's
I'm
good for
thinking
Ben.
of. I know exactly the one you're talking about. You can choose to ignore all hit modifiers. So you just go, oh, you're a Latop flyer. I don't care.
Don't care at all.
Words.
Hitting you with
Boom!
Yeah. Goodbye. Thank you.
But and this was one of the.
It's an A minor.
But this was one of the things that again was really, really fed back to the Games Workshop team during the beta codex phase, was the reliability of the Exorcists. They've got that now in terms of the 3D free, and Necron players such as myself everywhere are very, very upset because our Doomsday cannons are, well, we're just as unreliable, but hey, can't have it all.
No.
But then it's also not just that, it's the reliability of the Miracle Dice now on the damage. Yeah, it's still D6 damage, and if you get a couple of hits through, you know, I mean, when it's lost an AP compared to the beta codex,
Right.
I'll take that for a minimum of 2 extra shots all the time.
Every day.
You know what, AP 3, AP 4 that's fine. Just slap some divine guidance on it and get the AP4 on 6s to wound anyway. You're laughing.
And you just live in the dream.
But generally, I mean, you get a couple of hits on a vehicle, they'll fail a couple of saves, a couple of d6, and slap on a 4, 5, or a 6 in there. You're going to kill a vehicle.
Yeah.
Do the trick.
You know, the reliability is now there.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of people were clamoring for.
Yeah. Which is great. What, do you have a favourite unit, Lady Beard?
A favourite unit?
Yeah. Because again, a lot of this has already been showcased for you guys, so rather than just going through all of the units, I thought it could be more interesting to pick out our favourites and talk about them.
Yeah, I think actually what I quite like to do is run some max blobs of Seraphim.
Yeah.
So now you can, I think you can take up to 10, right?
I believe you always could.
The book
It might have always been that case. I've only ever had 6. So I've never been able to. But I would love to take like 3 units of 10 Seraphim, 2 of them with the double Inferno pistols, and zoom them around with Celestine.
Yeah, so...
one
so
superior,
up to
4
10.
Seraphim can contain up to 5 more, and up to 2 can be equipped. Yeah, so it's up to 2, not 2 and 5, so you wouldn't be able to take 4 lots of Inferno, which is a shame.
2, like 4 in total, so
yeah,
two
yeah.
pairs.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah, so I really like the idea of zooming them around with Celestine, because they'll have a 4-up invuln all the time that they're within her little bubble there, and being able to use the stratagem where you can bring them down and add 6 onto the range of that Inferno pistol is quite scary.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you've got 4 melter pistols in your grills real quick. It's good, really good. And when you've got that many of them, they are more survivable than just taking 6.
Yeah.
And also the Zephyrim as well, the new close combat version.
Combat Seraphim, people have been asking for this for ages.
Yeah, so they've all got power swords and pistols. So again, imagine
elite,
like 3 units of 10 Zephyrim. They've all got their power swords, and they're zooming around, slicing everything up in combat. It's very cool. Have they got any different rules?
They reroll wounds in combat.
Rapturous blows. So
They
when resolving an
reroll
attack
wounds.
made with a melee weapon by a model in this unit, you can reroll the wound roll.
Yeah, and I think if there's
You
the
can
banner
reroll
as well.
Yeah, so the Zephyrim Pennant.
Yeah.
You can reroll charge rolls made for the order units whilst they're within 6 of any friendly units with the Zephyrim Pennant when the roll is made.
So
pretty
your
cool.
superior carries this banner, like waving it around.
Yeah.
It's
And they
very
get
cool.
+1 to their invulnerable as well,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Well,
with
and
the,
also-
angelic visage.
Being able to reroll,
that's cool.
I didn't know they could reroll the wounds.
Yeah, they reroll all wounds.
The downside is they're only strength 3,
But
but
you
when
know
you're
what?
rerolling,
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
when you've got that many of them,
you can run a combat sister army
Quite
baby.
successfully, because then you
quite
start
nicely.
You start adding in like the priests and stuff.
You
into
have the priest,
the-
you use the orders, you
Yeah.
use the passion for 6s of 2 hits.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, it's they're really pumping out some
serious
high possible
work.
damage. Yeah.
Which is cool. It's
Yeah.
really nice to have an army which has, that you can actually build in 2 different styles. I quite like that.
Yeah.
I think that's really exciting.
What else is really cool is that there's so much good stuff in here. There's not like the auto take stuff you get in a lot of armies. Like if you want to play in a competitive sense, there's so many options in here because there's so many good things that you're not sort of limited to. I'm going to have to take this, this, and this, and I have to disregard most of my book because they're just not going to cut the mustard. What are you? What's yours?
So I mean, from a concept, it's the Triumph of St. Catherine.
Oh,
We've not, so no one has seen the model.
I
of it
need-
yet.
no one's seen it.
I
but
need to know more about it.
So essentially,
there's an illustration
The
that sort of-
concept of it is is it's basically, from what I can imagine, and based on like the wounds that it has and the attacks that it has, it's like a canoness or some sort of like priestly type matron leading 6 or 7 almost mini canonesses that are carrying the relics of the original founders of the orders as one big unit, just carving up the field.
And all the relics have their own rule.
Yeah. So they I mean, they've got like 14 attacks. It's really cool. It's really cool. So
we've got a rule called Solemn Procession as well,
Yeah.
so it can't embark aboard any transports.
yeah,
Because
Well, the illustrations suggest that they're
towing around the
with
Ark
this
of the Covenant.
floating.
I was just about to say, yeah. It reminds me of Indiana Jones.
You need to play the Indiana Jones music, like when they come onto the field, like where he's wheeling it into the warehouse.
Yeah.
Like, but so I mean, that's it from a concept point of view. I think my favourite unit in there though is the Mortifiers.
Oh my god, they're
They
so cool.
they are
Mortifiers.
so the Mortifiers are an alternative build to the Penitent engine.
Yeah.
Oh yes, these are.
They
epic.
just sound absolute. They're quite pricey points wise, but they have
Should
to
be.
They have to be dealt with.
Should be.
You know, because there's a lot of combos that you can do with them. I mean,
yeah.
So I'm just going to throw this out there now. Pistol heavy flamers.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that in your
They
combat.
if you kill them in combat, they explode on a 4+, but only hit enemy units for D3. But it's only an inch range, so you kind of got to do it in combat.
Yeah.
They've got a 6-up, feel no pain.
They sure do.
Now they are they're faster than normal Penitent engines. They don't have Zealot, so they don't have the reroll all hits, but they are base weapon skill 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they are actually Repentia. So where a Penitent engine is just a normal dude put into a Penitent engine, these are Repentia that have run away, which is just the absolutist no-no. But because they're actually Sisters of Battle, they don't have like the rights and the order abilities, but they have the Adepta Sororitas keyword, so you can use Advance and Charge, attack twice.
Yeah.
You know, you're pumping a lot of CP into it, but you can run. The only thing is, and this will need an FAQ when Games Workshop release it, is the data sheet says that it contains 1 mortifier and can contain up to 5 additional, and yet the points at the back says it's 1 to 4. Now, historically, when there's been an error in terms of the data sheets, it's all like in terms of numbers, because I think this happened with like not long claws but like swift claws for the Space Wolf book.
Right. Yes.
It was the points that were updated.
Yeah.
So I fully imagine these to be units of 1 to 6. In which case, I would run 18 of them.
Give me 18. I charge them into the enemy
Immediately.
lines.
and it would be glorious.
Oh my goodness.
But
How
we'll
many
have to
wounds
see.
they have?
So I mean, they are only
5
toughness
wounds.
5.
Yeah,
toughness
5 wounds with a 4-up save, but they've got a 6-up shrug.
Yep.
They've got a 9-inch move, and you can advance and charge a unit.
yeah.
So actually, you know
attack
what?
space.
4 attack space.
And they've got two
Well,
weapons options.
It's
So you've
not
got
4 attack space. It's more like 15,
Well, if you're running the flail.
which you would.
So, because you get the 3 hit rolls for each one. If the bearer is equipped with 2 of this weapon, then when the bearer fights it, makes 1 additional attack using this. Wow. Okay, yeah. So it is. You can per 1. So you just drown people in strength 6 -2 1 damage.
Yeah. You don't need damage 1 when you're just going.
You just go tear it all in.
Take 47 wounds.
Love that. Love that. And again, if you can tie that in with like there's other units, would the priests and stuff be able to give them, and the preachers be able to give them
the extra
attack?
I believe they can.
I don't know if the preacher specifically states infantry. It is Adeptus Munistorum infantry.
Oh, it's
so
infantry.
no.
Okay. Fine.
Which is I get where you go.
Yeah.
Because just an extra 18.
An extra 18. Yeah, that'd be good.
I would run one of them around with a unit of Crusaders because I'd want to do some really nice conversions for them for the Crusaders. So for anyone that's ever played Diablo 3, think a female Crusader. Imagine that as a unit of Sisters of Battle, so you use them as like penitent knights type thing, running around with massive shields and using giant flails with the fleur de lis symbol on it as the mace head. But I mean, this is the thing. It's like what Beard says. There's so many units in there that you just kind of go, "This is so cool.
Yeah.
This is so awesome," and it wouldn't actually be all that detrimental to take it if you are talking from a competitive sense. I think there are auto includes free Exorcists.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think they would
time.
be an auto include if you're playing competitive. But if you didn't take free Exorcists and took your anti-tank somewhere else, I don't think you would suffer because you've got so many options.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which is
I
great.
think as a foot slugger army, because you've got so many things which can buff your invulnerables where you're going across the table as well, can make you go faster, and we've got your own versions of litanies in here too. You can really just make everything very, very interesting. So I think I'm very excited. Well, look, we've talked about the units.
I'll just do one more.
You can do one more.
One more, because this is specific to my army, because
Okay.
my army is Order of Unmartyred Lady, and
Sure.
she is for Order of Unmartyred Lady specifically, so she could be my new warlord. Junith Aruita. Junith E. So she is she has the Order of Unmartyred Lady keyword, so she is designed to buff my army, which is very cool. So she has
She was specifically designed to buff your army.
Mine
No one else's.
personally.
Your
Yes,
personal army.
Order of Unmartyred Lady for beard. It says
it
that's
says
what it
there.
says. Yeah.
So you actually have to have the
beard
order
keyword.
of our martyred beard.
Yeah.
So
If you don't have the beard, you can't use it.
she has been previewed by GW, and anyone that's not seen it, she is essentially a sister on top of a floating statue with flamers on it,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
Outrageous, but cool.
Well, it's sisters in a nutshell.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
So she herself is very good. She's quite good and quite survivable. She does grant reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1, specifically for Order of Unmartyred Lady units within 6, which is not insignificant. And she does move 10, so she can zip around and help a bunch of different units.
Nice.
She also buffs the invulnerable save for Shield of Faith, and as far as I'm aware, this does stack. So if you had her and Celestine, you can do it up to the max, which is a 4+.
Yeah, I think there's 3 different rules for it. There's Celestine's rule, there's a warlord trait, and then there's her.
Yeah.
And they all say that to a maximum of 4+.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'd have Seraphim running around with like a 2-up invuln, which is just silly.
Bananas.
Yeah. So she's quite cool. You could use her with some Dominion units because they get their extra move at the beginning of the game, and she moves 10. She can keep up, and you can re-roll 1s and wound rolls of 1 for Dominions.
Yeah,
With
nice.
It's really good.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
I'm excited for her.
I think she's the only thing in the Sisters book which gives you reroll 1s to wound, actually.
For a unit, yeah.
Yeah, which is quite interesting because that seems to be a common reroll 1s to hit, reroll 1s to wound is a very, very common aura ability for characters. So it's interesting that they've kind of put that on a special character only.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's the only one that goes with a specific order. But I think that Order of Unmartyred Lady is like the classic Sisters look.
Yeah, that's the black and red.
Black
isn't
and
it?
red.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they've done it to
I think
celebrate that bit.
that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's giving the poster girls of the army a specific character, much like Ultramarines have the most special characters, much like with your Necrons, the basic Sortek dynasty, that sort of classic silver and gold, silver and green has the most special characters. They're the face of the army, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I guess she would be as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll stop talking about units now.
No, it's cool. I mean, if we were doing a 5-hour video, we'd talk about everything. But that's really cool. Okay, cool. So we've done the units. We've kind of talked about all of that. I'll just check my notes here. Well, shall we head across to the Sisterhood of War? Oh. Chef, you can maybe. So this we're going to talk about the order, conviction, stratagems, and relics, essentially.
Yes. So these are your standard, like if you have a battle-forged army, any detachments that have the order keyword. So there's a few which don't have the order keyword. Basically, if you're a Sister of Battle, you have the order keyword, and there's a number that don't, but they will not stop you from getting these convictions. So similar to things in an Astra Militarum army, they won't stop you from getting it if you're running Ogryns, for example. And similar with Gene Sealer cults, having a Gene Sealer, pure strain Gene Sealer in there doesn't stop the rest of your cult from getting it, or Brood Brothers, things like that.
Sure.
So, for reference, those units are Celestine, the Gemini Superior, the Hospitaller, the Diagolos, because they're kind of their own separate entity rather than being specific to an order. They're sort of assigned to the orders in the fluff, I believe. The Penitent Engines, the Mortifiers, the Triumph of St. Catherine, because they just kind of go wherever they want. Excuse me. Be quiet. And anything that is an Ecclesiarchy, Battle Conclave, or a Munistorum Priest. So that's your priests, your preachers, your Crusaders, your Death Cult Assassins, your Archoflagellants, things like that.
Yeah.
In addition, you have the Priestly Delegation rule, which means if you're in match play and it's Battleforged, if you don't have any priests in your army, you can only include one Battle Conclave unit. Yeah. So you wouldn't be able to, if you've got a priest, you can't then go, I'll take 3 units of... If you've got a priest, you can take as many Battlecon clothes as you want, but you can't have 3 units of Archoflagellants without a priest, basically.
Sure.
You have Strength of Faith, which is your objective secured. The Conviction. So there's a lot of cool stuff here. This, I think, is very, very indicative of the path that Games Workshop is following in terms of your army rules, and that is you basically have 2 abilities. If you look at the Space Marines, they have 2 traits now. When you look at the custom traits, you can pick 2. Things like the Phoenix Rising, you can, if you're making a custom Craftworld trait or a custom Drukhari trait, you pick 2. And it's a similar principle in here. So they don't have a build your own order, but the ones that they do have, I think they cover so many bases. It's great. So your one bid is our Martyred Lady, the Blood of Martyrs. So you gain a miracle dice at the end of any phase other than the morale phase in which any units with this conviction were destroyed. I do. So you can still only gain the 1 because it's still capped at 1 per phase. It doesn't. The only exception is this is in addition to any miracle dice gained at the end of a phase in which a character with this act of faith is destroyed. So essentially, your characters will give you 2, but a normal unit will give you 1. But you just can't go, I lost 4 units this turn, I gained 4 miracle dice. However,
it's quite nice because I can usually get 1 in my turn and my opponent's turn.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can really, really build them up. The additional thing, so this is where you've got that 2 part of it. The additional thing is when resolving an attack made by a model with this conviction, add 1 to the hit roll if 1 or more models from this model's unit have been destroyed in this battle, even if they've been returned to life by something like a hospitaller. So even if you've lost someone in turn 1, in turn 5, your sisters will be hitting on 2s. Which is super good.
It's very good.
Super good. However, my favourite is the Valorous Hawk.
Mine too.
I think it's everyone here in the studio. It's our favourite because you can really build some quite obnoxious lists with this, as well as it being very evocative of what sisters are like. So when a model with this conviction would lose a wound, roll a d6. On a 6, the wound is not lost. Great. Nice little extra survivable. Remember, this will work on your tanks as well, guys. So anything that is an order, because this is another change from the beta codex, everything, your immolators, your rhinos, your exorcists, now have a 6-up shrug.
Give me more.
In addition, when resolving an attack made with a weapon with an armor penetration characteristic of -1 against a unit with this conviction, it's treated as 0. Really, really good.
Yes.
We've seen what that can do with things like salamanders. We've seen what that can do with things like salamander vehicles. But now you're doing it on units which, admittedly, are lower toughness, have less wounds, but it stacks up. And they have clarified that whilst a unit with this conviction is under the effect of an Imagifier's Tale of the Stoic ability, so that's something we didn't touch on was the Imagifier, but they can essentially, they've got 3 different abilities that you can choose from at the beginning of the game.
They're like a litanies.
And it goes off and it's a 6-inch bubble. You can pick 1 out of 3. And one of them is exactly that. -1 is treated as 0. If you have that conviction and are under that effect, you treat -2 as AP 0. So you just go, are you -3? No. I have a 3-up save. And then a 6-up shrug. And even if you're -3, you probably have a character nearby giving you a 5-up invuln. And then a 6-up shrug. And then you combo that with the order of with the Martyr Sacred Rites. You go, okay, you finally killed a sister. She'll shoot you back.
Exactly.
It's great.
Thank you. Multiple Imagifiers.
I believe you can take 3.
But I think you can only have 1 litany going.
So you couldn't do the same litany.
That's okay. No, I did look at this. I don't think so.
Okay.
Because otherwise, you just have them everywhere and just being like, yep.
Yes, you can. Litany of Deeds. During deployment, so this is the Imagifier rule here, guys. During deployment, after you set up this model on the battlefield, select one of the following tales. This model has that ability until the end of the battle. Tale of the Stoic is the weapons with an AP of -1 are treated as AP 0 against units against friendly order units whilst they're within 6 of friendly models with this ability. There's 2 others, Tale of the Warrior, which is +1 strength in a 6-inch bubble, and Tale of the Faithful, which is reroll deny the tale. Again, this is an interesting one, an interesting ability because you can do this after you've set it up on the battlefield. So if you know you're coming up against Grey Knight, you go Sacred Rite +3 and Tale of the Faithful for a reroll that. It's really frustrating. But if you're coming up against Marines, who you know are going to be -1 or -2, you go Tale of the Stoic.
Yeah.
So again, a nice adaptable ability. So you can take, because you can take 3 of them, rule of 3. There's no rules in here in terms of this is a unique model or
Really?
or this is
I think because I read Litany and then I just kind of, my brain went right, because you can't do that with Space Marines, for example, can you?
No, but that, I think it's just because theirs are just litanies.
Sure.
Whereas this is just the name of their rule.
Sure. So I've given you a bum steer there. I apologise.
But
so my original plan is still in motion.
So 3 of them dotted through your army, just ignoring -2, and then a 6-up shrug.
It's strong.
It's really not. It makes
strong.
a toughness-free army surprisingly defensible when you generally are going to have at worst a 5-up save.
A lot of people, I think, underestimate Sisters when they just see toughness 3 across the boards. Because they'll just you're just winning on 3s most of the time with most units, and you will do. But when you use this sort of thing and you can make them more survivable, all of a sudden it doesn't matter as much.
No. Yeah. It's very good. It's very good.
It's my favourite. It's your favourite. It's your favourite. I know it's Lawrence's favourite. So you can tell but that again to me is that it fits that sort of faithful theme. They're like, they're just. It's probably not even like, they've got like super armor. They're just going, that's blood.
Yeah.
I fight on.
Yeah, I have
for the Emperor.
I have no time to bleed. Right
Exactly. So and then when you do take them down, and then they shoot you back, like they're just like in their dying breath. It's just so cool. It's just very, very cool. The other 4, you've got Bloody Rose, Quick to Anger. All of your pistols and melee weapons are always an extra AP, which is quite nice.
If you're running your
Seraphim
blobs.
Exactly. Yeah. So actually, again, there's some really nice things that you can do for very specific units. In addition, they get +1 attack when they charged, or intervene.
Zephyrim.
Hello.
So again, you can do like a really, really unique, fast-moving force with Bloody Rose, and just going like -1, -4 with your power swords everywhere is actually really, really cool.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Ebon Chalice is quite nice. You have a 5-up shrug against mortal wounds. In addition, when you perform an act of faith for a model with this conviction, you can discard an additional miracle dice, and you just count it as a 6. So if you've got 2 bum ones, like a 1 and a 2, and you just go, I'll just get rid of those, make it a 6 for damage, bang.
Yeah. Well, I think the 2's, one's okay because you can use it for morale, but the 2's absolutely useless.
Well, again, we discussed this in the World Eaters game. You can, it's perhaps a little gamey, but I think it fits the fluff. Let's say you have a model that's not used an act of faith, and they have like 1 wound remaining, and they're surrounded in combat. And you go, and your attacks come in, and you go, right, I'm just going to roll a 2 and fail that save. You kind of go, that's really gamey because now they're not pinned. But actually, you know what? No, they've received the divine guidance of the Emperor that in order for your sisters to survive, you must be martyred here. Yeah. And they go, okay. Yeah, exactly. They drop their weapons. Yeah, they go to their knees, just hold out their neck,
or chop.
Exactly.
And it always happens in slow motion.
Every time. Every time. Yeah. Which is really frustrating if you're trying to fight a battle because you're like going, again.
All the other boys are like this with the knob, and they're like, but so again, that might be a little bit gamey, guys. But actually, you can use those 2s to your advantage. Especially if you go, I don't want that unit to be pinned in combat. Because then I can't shoot the unit that's pinned them. So actually, you can kind of go, I'll take the martyrdom. Again, you can build the fluff around it. But discarding 2 to make it a 6 when you need that 6 is a really nice ability to have.
Yeah, I think this is a dark horse.
Yeah,
sort of.
Another good one to buff the anti-psyker as well.
Yes, because you just go
shrugging the mortal wounds.
I think again, if you could build certain lists around this, which would be incredibly powerful. And that's 6 damage. Come on. Yeah, it's just there.
It's really nice. Yeah. It's really nice to have. You just know it's going to happen. Argent Shroud, I think, is really, really nice as well. When you advance, you can fire ranged weapons as if you had moved without advancing. So essentially, you can always fire assault weapons without penalty, but in addition, you are Black Legion plus.
Yeah, exactly.
Because your weapons don't become assault, you just count as moving rather than advancing. So your rapid fire weapons are still rapid fire, your heavy weapons would still take the -1 for moving, but it means that you can absolutely hoof it up the field with things like multi-melters or bolt guns or heavy bolters and go, you know what, I'll take the -1 to hit, but I'm now in range. I wouldn't have been shooting anyway. So again, a bit of a dark horse one. I think it's not as obviously powerful as Stoic Endurance from the Valorous Hawk, but you can certainly build around it. Seraphim, or Seraphim, just going 12-inch in advance.
It's already decided.
Yeah, it's done. It's done.
Every time we talk about it, you just go, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'm aware.
I already told you.
I'm taking 30. And then finally, you've got Sacred Rose. Now, this is a very strong one. A very, very strong one, in my opinion. Is it Valorous Heart strong? I don't think so, but I think this is going to be a go-to for people just because they'll look at it and they'll go into Iron Hands mode and get, I've got 3 abilities. Only one model can run away from morale. Generally not a huge deal because you're probably running MSU with Sisters, but if you are running those big blobs, great. When you perform an act of faith, roll a d6. On a 5+, gain a miracle dice.
Wow, I've not seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've spent a miracle dice. I'm going to roll it. Oh, I rolled a 5. Great. I'll just gain a miracle dice. Now that, the way that that's worded, it's after you perform an act of faith for a model or unit with this conviction, roll 1d6, you gain a miracle dice. That is not done at the end of the phase, which means that will stack with your other miracle dice that you might gain for like Vengeance, for example. Yeah. Because that's done in the phase rather than at the end of the phase.
Blimey. Okay.
So you can really stack them up with that one.
Yeah.
And then finally, you Overwatch on 5s.
Which is nice.
Okay.
Which is nice.
So that one lends itself to big blobs of like 15 Sisters just rocking up the field going...
Storm
bolters, heavy bolters, and just going, charge us. Even if you kill a bunch, only one's ever going to run away. All of those convictions have their use. There are some that on paper, I know we spoke about Valorous Heart a lot, that are better than others, but that lend themselves, some of them lend themselves to a more specific build, some of them lend themselves to an entire army use, which is really nice. I like the fact that there's a generalist one, and I like the fact that there's, if you build, so Bloody Rose, if you build around it, it could be really strong. AP1 on your bolt pistols, AP1 on your hand flamers, do you need AP5 on Inferno pistols? Just have it.
You've got it. You're welcome.
Or your melee, even in combat, your Sisters will be -1 because everyone's counted as a close combat weapon. So that if you build a combat army, that'll be the one you go for. But if you're building a generalist, you might go Valorous Heart. If you're building big blobs, you can go for Sacred Rose. If you're building a fast army, the fact that there's options is fantastic.
The choice is yours.
Yeah.
Exactly. And yours.
And me too.
And
That's
yours.
good. Well, let's have a look at these stratagems real quick.
There's a lot.
So
There's
again,
4 pages.
So I mean the ones that because I would obviously run Valorous Hawk. I've got a plan. I'll tell you. And at the end, I think what would be cool is we talk about a bit more about the ideas of lists that we would run. And I know we know what you're doing.
Unbound army, Seraphim only.
1 million. 1 million. Come play me if you want. But yeah, I mean, look, the stratagems are really good. And what I like about these stratagems is they seem to all tie into all of the convictions and all that sort of stuff and the Sacred Rites really well. Which I think especially in the older codexes, it's almost like you had... Your army does this one thing, and then here's some stratagems that kind of do another. Whereas I find when I'm reading through this, they all seem to meld into it. So like the cogs of the machine are all working together.
Indeed.
So for example, there's a couple in here that, I mean, talking about the Exorcists, for example. So we've got the Devastating Refrain is one that I would use as well. So use this stratagem when an Exorcist model from your army fires Overwatch or is chosen to shoot with. Until the end of the phase, you can reroll any or all of the dice rolled to determine the type of characteristic of an Exorcist missile launcher or an Exorcist conflagration rockets that model is equipped with. So if I roll that one on one of them, for 1 CP, I can just re-roll that. Right, cool. So I've got that. That's great. Then if we go over to... that's just there. That's mine now. I get that. You can have your Zephyrum. I've got this. You're not allowed it, actually. I spoke to someone about it. It's not for you.
Who did you speak to?
It doesn't matter. Just them.
Oh,
Yeah.
not them.
To the end of the phase. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the
Then
one.
use Blind Faith. So Blind Faith of the Order of Valorous Heart. And this is when I was really like, yeah, okay, I think this is
the
really
one.
interesting. So use your stratagem at the start of your shooting phase. Select one Order of the Valorous Heart unit from your army until the end of the phase. When resolving an attack made by a model in that unit, ignore hit roll modifiers. Bosh.
Yep.
That is a tasty little combo for 2 CP, in my opinion.
Yep.
And then you've got Miracle Dice in there as well.
Yeah.
Like I say, like you need to remove that unit. For 2 CP, that's going to really, really help you.
That's a
You're
dead
gonna
flyer
have-
right there.
Yeah, there's a dead flyer. That you're going to have that Canonist back with them anyway, who's going to be improving them. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
So that's my little... But there's so much in here.
There's a lot.
I think there's like 36 stratagems.
But what's
Yeah.
really cool, I think you've spoken to us about this with me before. There's a stratagem for every unit, pretty much.
Yes.
There's utility for everything in there. There's not like throwaway things that
Yeah.
you've never ever used. There's something for each of the orders, something for most units. It's very cohesive.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
I
Just
like
looking for the Seraphim one for you.
I think that's at the front.
Yeah, they've got their own one.
Embodied prophecy.
Embodied Prophecy. Shall I read this real
Go
quick?
for it.
Use this stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select one Seraphim squad unit from your army until the end of that phase when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a model in a friendly Adepta Sorority unit within 6 of the Seraphim unit. Reroll a wound roll of 1.
Yeah.
That is great!
So that passes on their reroll wound bubble
to everyone else.
slightly smaller to everyone else
exactly.
in the fight phase.
Pow.
Pow,
Pow
indeed.
Little pow there.
So that would help your crew. It was you were talking about the Crusaders.
So that's the this is where I prefer the mortifiers over the penitent engines because it's a friendly Adepta Sororitas unit. Which mortifiers are? That would work on your Repentia. That would work on your normal units as well. This is what I like about the Sisters book, and this is where I'm hoping that the rest of the sort of any future codexes go. Is there are stratagems for. There's general stratagems. I think there's one in here which is
Flak
any.
missile.
Yeah,
That's not
not in there. But that's what I mean. Those sort of quite generic copy and paste stratagems aren't in there.
Yeah.
There's some which will affect your, which you are done sort of in general. There's some which are done for, just a general Adepta Sororitas unit.
Yeah.
But the vast majority are actually for specific units. So, and that to me is what stratagem should be, is an ability that you pay to essentially power up a specific unit for a cost that isn't incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
So Devastating Refrain is extremely good.
Yeah.
But let's compare that to Extermination Protocols with the Necrons, where you reroll all hits and all wounds with them, with a big unit of 6, for 1 CP. That's a bit too much.
Yeah.
If it was just you can reroll once to wound, I'd still be okay with that for 1 CP. It enhances a unit rather than makes them horrific.
Yeah.
Like a Chapter Master.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of just on that point, there is nothing in here that allows you to reroll everything, is there?
Nope, not as far as... so Seraphim have reroll all wounds for themselves.
For themselves.
Yeah.
But
there's no aura.
There's no massive aura.
Now, and this is where I hope that GW start to take the codexes in future.
Yeah.
While the Chapter Master is very cool for 2 CP and the points that you pay for them, it's too much. It's just too much. We've seen how it can affect the meta and what it has done recently, and it's just been too much. And that's okay if the other armies are going to be either put up with them or at some point they're going to change how that works. Whatever GW decide to do there, we have no idea.
Well, you know what? I think Sisters can hold Marines.
So do I.
So do I.
And this is the other thing. But what I like about it is that it's exactly what you say. They've got an answer for everything, but it costs you CP to do it
Without it being ridiculous.
Without being ridiculous. Like everything in here is good and it's strong. And I think with the right builds, these sorts of armies could actually stand up to Space Marines. But what this Codex is doing with the stratagems and the way it's moving is using them as buffs for particular moments, and it's almost like even the miracle dice enhance that. Like in this moment, I need this to go off, and yes, it's going to cost me 2 or 3 CP for that to do it. But if I do that, that is a critical moment in the game that I can change. But it's going to cost, and I might only be able to do that once or twice. It's kind of like when you're using obliterators with chaos.
Yeah.
But you know, like you get them to come down, and you do that shoot twice stratagem and everything, and if it goes off, it changes the game.
Yeah.
But the difference is what this book doesn't have, and I think it's a really good thing, and I'd like to see Marines get tailored more to this sort of thing, because they've got all the flavour in there, all that excitement and stuff, but it doesn't have an aura ability, which is such an incredible force multiplier, and it's 2 CP and it lasts for the entire game.
Yeah.
That's where, and that's when you look at a codex like this, you go, do you know what, this is really exciting for all those reasons. People, when I put my Sisters of Battle army down, they're not going to be like, oh, this is an auto lose. They're going to be like, this is going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
And if this person knows what they're doing with his army, it could be really tough.
It's a thinking man's army.
Yeah,
it's not an obvious click and point.
They're kind of like they don't necessarily have to be shooty, but they're kind of a more shooty Gene Sealer cult. If you come up against someone that is decent with Sisters, great. If you come up against someone that's really good with Sisters, you're going to have to bring your A game. Yeah. You will have to play very, very well, because they have a lot of stuff that they can do, which will punish you if you make a mistake.
Yeah.
And I really like that. As you say, a thinking man's army, which I'm all about. You know, yes, there are some obvious things, but the interactions and when to use the miracle dice and when to change your rights, because the stratagems will allow you to change your rights, although I think that's a random one, so that's, you know, more of a fun one. Yeah. But you know, there's, like I say, there's so many cool things in here.
Yeah.
And as you say, they aren't. If a Sisters army is put down, your instinctual reaction will probably not be, oh, darn.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those games where it might feel like that against certain Marine armies and certain Marine builds. Not all Marine armies, because anyone that, you know, plays Marine shouldn't be feeling that way. I did read something actually quite horrible the other day, which was a guy was saying that no one at his local store wants to play him anymore because he has Marines. Ugh. Which is not cool, guys. It's really not.
No.
But I can understand that negative feeling. I don't think that will happen with Sisters. They are certainly strong.
Yes.
They are certainly strong. Yeah. But I would, you know, I mean, the game that we had the other day was an absolute bloodbath. It was great.
No spoilers?
No spoilers, but it was a great game.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel throughout the game like, oh, this is like the writing's on the wall type thing. It was, there was always, you know, the opportune moment, because at the end of the day, despite their cool tricks and stuff, they are still only 1 wound models with toughness 3.
Yeah.
They can be punished very, very hard. But they've got a lot of tricks, and that's how those sorts of armies do the business. But I mean, I just love the design of it. I love the design. I think it's going in a fantastic direction.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Shall we have a quick look at the relics, and then we'll give you guys a little break, and then we'll come and talk about a couple of other things as well. We've got Warlord traits.
Warlord traits and relics.
Yeah, cool. Let's have a quick look at them.
Okay, so I mean, Warlord traits. So this is where there is a bit of a downer for me. So of the Warlord traits, you've got 6 Warlord traits and then your 6 specific ones. There's 2 that you're always going to take.
Yes.
Beacon of Faith, at the start of your turn, gain an additional miracle dice.
You have to take it.
Yeah, you basically have to.
Yeah.
So you're getting 2 a turn. You're getting 2 miracle dice.
30 Zerathum, Beacon of Faith. That's it. That's it.
And the other
Tactical
one...
101.
The other one is Indomitable Belief, which is friendly infantry units increase their invuln save by 1 to a maximum of 4 within 6. So you become Celestine.
Yeah.
So interestingly, Celestine has that ability as a non-warlord trait, and also has Beacon of Faith as her set warlord trait.
Yeah.
So even if you're not taking Celestine, because there is a stratagem in here which allows called Heroine in the Making, which allows you to upgrade one of your canonesses to have a warlord trait as if she was your warlord.
Yeah.
The problem is the others are cool, but they're not that good. No. Those would be the ones you go to, which is a pity. It is a pity. So I mean, you know, there's one. So like the Order of the Ebon Knowledge. The Order of the Ebon Chalice.
That one's interesting.
Which is terrible knowledge. Is very cool.
Yeah.
Start the first battle round. If you're Battleforged, you gain D3 command points. In addition, your first miracle dice in the first battle round is a 6.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Cool.
And this is the order that is the one that allows you to spend 2 dice to count it as a 6. So this Order, again, bit of a dark horse, is just 6s for days.
Yeah.
You can't, but then the problem is in order to fuel that, you almost need to go, well, I'll take another lady with bacon of faith.
The
best bacon.
Yum, yum, yum.
With beacon of faith, so that you are getting 2 every turn in addition to the ones that you get throughout the game. So you can go, I'm always going to have a 6 on hand when I need it, which is really, really cool. But I think the 5-up Invan, again, Stoic Endurance with Valorous Hawk.
Yeah.
You're ignoring -2, and then even -3, you have a 5-up Invan.
Yeah. Great.
Horrific.
Tremendous.
Utterly horrific.
I am
The
all about it.
others, the other warlord traits, as I say, they're kind of cool, but that's my only issue with the book is that those are auto takes.
Yeah.
Those are auto takes,
Yeah.
which is a pity.
Well, yeah, but you know,
You can't have
you
everything.
can't have everything.
9 out of 10 of the book is great.
Yeah.
That's my only gripe with that. The relics, however, are very interesting.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so many good relics in here.
Yeah.
It's actually very difficult to choose.
I know what I'd do.
So my favourite in here is
Super Seraphim.
again, there is one that probably is an auto take, and that's Litanies of Faith.
Oh, yep.
So once per turn, not per phase, not per battle round, but per turn, so your opponent's and yours. If a model from your army with this relic is on the battlefield, and when you gain a miracle dice, re-roll it.
Yep.
Great, fantastic. Really, really good. Almost guarantees that you're going to get a good number. You know, really, you're looking for 3s and above, because then that's a hit, at least when you need it to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times have you gone, I just need to hit with that melter gun?
Oh, I didn't
Again,
hit.
a 3 just goes bang.
Yeah.
You've done it. There's a few more which are really cool.
The Book of St. Lucius, I think is really good.
3-inch bubble.
Yeah, increase.
3-inch increase
That's
to your order.
Put
Yeah.
that with your Exorcists, spread them
Yeah.
out so they can
Yeah,
get shut
put that
down
with
in
the
combat.
Exorcist or
Yeah.
your Image of Fire as well. Can you do? Would that work?
Yes, you can. So then you've got a 9-inch
Ah.
bubble on your extra -1 because I believe they do have the character keyword.
Yep.
There you go.
You're welcome.
The cogs are turning. But my other favourite one is, I have 2 more favourites. Again, this is what I mean. There's so many good ones. The Iron Surplus of Saint Estelia.
Ah, that's my favourite.
You have a 2
I just like the name.
Yeah, you have a 2-up save. In addition, an unmodified wound roll of 1, 2, or 3 always fails, irrespective of any abilities or weapons that you have.
Super canon.
So you just go, I've got red first with a +1 to wound, but you rolled a 3, fails.
Yep. So good.
So good.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. And then again, that's an order, a generalized one. So Stoic Endurance, you're ignoring -2 if you're next to an Image of Fire. Good. Is it -3? You still have a 5-up save, and you're 4s to wound.
Yeah.
You just make them really tough.
Yeah.
And then the final one of my favourites, and then I'll pass over the book, get rid of it because I all day, is Order of the Valorous Hawk, specific one. Subtract 1 from the toughness characteristic of all enemy units whilst they're within an inch of a model from your army with this relic. You so the fluff of it is you carry this ebonite box which is so suffused with the Emperor's divine spark it radiates a ferocious aura. I like to imagine it as actually they think it's this holy relic and it's just like a nuclear bomb that hasn't gone off yet. It's just giving out radiation. It is a holy relic of the
making
ancient
everyone
terror.
sick.
Why am I bleeding out my eyes? Shut up.
It's the Emperor's gift.
Yeah,
You're so lucky.
What a great gift.
Yeah, it's again one of those ones where you go, it's not amazingly great, but if you build around it, if you build a combat army with that army and you go bang into Marines, you go, my sisters are
This
really
is the
on
thing,
on falls now.
You can
Yeah.
make any type of army you want, which
Which
is
is
one of
really
my
cool.
favourite things. There's
Yeah.
so much stuff and so much flexibility. If you want to do combat, you want to do shooty, you want to do whatever you want. Zephyrim.
Zephyr days.
Everything.
60 winged ladies.
I don't think there's anything else that I'm super excited about in the relics. I don't think there's the Blade of Admonition.
Yes.
That's back. But is now interestingly, it isn't just from a power sword. You have to upgrade to a blessed blade instead of a power sword to do the Blade of Admonition. But the blessed blades are good.
Yes.
It's +2 strength, -3 D3 damage. It's like 9-point upgrade.
Yeah.
You can make Canoness really powerful. Canoness, in my opinion, is probably the best option for your warlord. Celestine for me now isn't as potent as she used to be by a pretty long stretch.
Yeah,
she's
still
really
good.
she's a massive annoyance to your opponent.
Which is,
in a way, if you don't use her as your warlord, you can be a bit more aggressive and not worry too much if she does die. Well, the second time. So you can just fly around and be a massive nuisance while your actual warlord is
doing the business,
doing bits.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, look, we've talked about all of the, all the main crux of the book, really. Now we've talked about, all the stratagems, the relics, the orders, the acts of faith, all that sort of stuff. We're gonna have a slight break, and then we're gonna come back and talk a little bit about maybe some other stuff we thought we didn't see that we thought we might, and then we're going to talk about I think the kind of lists that we've kind of touched on this already because we're all really excited, but talk about the kind of lists that we think that we could make and where they might sit in the meta. So go grab yourself a beverage and we'll be right back. Okay, guys, welcome back. So, look, the first question I had here is what are you most excited about with this book? I think we've covered that.
Everything.
We've literally spent the last,
X
however long
amount of
it's
time.
been.
We've not been tracking
We've
it.
not been tracking it, talking about how great we think this is and the reasons for that. Now I'm going to just throw these questions to both of you. I mean, is there anything from the old codex that didn't come across that you think you might miss from this new one? And was there anything that you thought you would like to see or thought you were going to see that didn't appear in this codex that you think you would like?
When I first saw the Acts of Faith and the Miracle Dice mechanic, I instantly thought, oh, well, the flavour's gone. Because they didn't have the names of the abilities that were in the chapter approved rules. So I was like, there's this new thing, it's kind of cool, and as a rules mechanic it's good, but I feel like I've lost some flavour. But actually, we've not at all, because when you're doing it in a game and you're doing miracle dice to perform miracles and deeds and stuff, it's amazing.
It's just really cool.
Yeah, so my initial reaction was that I'm going to miss that, but actually it's not gone at all. It's just different. It's a little bit getting used to. But aside from that, there's not really anything from the index that didn't really come across. Really, there was nothing there that I thought, I wish they'd done this. I mean,
what about your dominions?
I guess the dominions have lost the ability to scout in their immolators.
Yeah,
which is a bit of a shame. But really, probably a bit much. To be fair,
it was the sheer fact that you could do it with an immolator, which still has an assault 2 heavy flamer.
It
was the problem.
Immolator's still very good, but it does encourage you now to put a canist in there with a dominion so you can re-roll the ones, which is nice. The dominions are still very good, and when they get boosted with the things like, you kill one, I'll shoot you back on a 5. They're even better than they were before. So all of the units that I have in my current army, there's nothing that has suffered really. Seraphim.
You would like to see more of that? You're going to have 30.
I'm going to get 30.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with my army. We need to get a proper new one, don't we?
Yes.
With all the new models.
Yes, we do.
Those are so good.
Okay, what about you, Chef?
I mean, in terms of stuff that's missing, I don't think there's anything overtly concerning. I was never a fan of the original index form of Act of Faith, on a 2+ act twice. I've never been a big fan of those mechanics, even in stratagem form. I personally think they're pretty boring. They're not interesting in comparison to the miracle dice. As you say, that as a rules mechanic isn't that interesting, but it's consistent and evocative of the fluff. Acting twice just feels like they're just, I don't know, being forced to,
It's quite vanilla.
It's pretty, and there was a lot of that, and you've got it in stratagem form, Endless Cacophony or Adrenaline Surge with Nids and attacking twice, and you do have attack twice in there.
Yes,
it's for very specific units, which is fluffy for those units because they are the zealots, they are the lost, the damned, the ones that are looking for redemption. They would of course throw themselves in. Like if we charge in, like maybe I'll be redeemed in the eyes of the Emperor. It fails. No! Do it again. For something like Khorne, it's very fluffy. For something to just do it because on a 2+ roll, I'm so glad it went. I understand people's concerns with the beta codex version of they were a bit vanilla. Again, you know what? I'm not happy. I'm not sad to see them go. They were vanilla, as you say, Bit. The miracle dice mechanic, I think, works perfectly because it is evocative of the feel of a miracle, and you're not losing the flavor because you still have those sacred rites, which is an army-wide effect. That think of that as your act of faith. For just don't call it the act of faith. Just say, oh, your sacred rites are your act of faith. Oh, so what are your miracle dice? Miracles.
Yeah,
it's done. It's just a new mechanic for you to use in addition to some other cool stuff. Yeah. I think the thing that just not annoys me but just confuses me is the Crusaders. You can only take 6 of them, and I don't know why. I want to take 9 of them. I want to take 9 of them. I want to put a missionary with them. I want to convert them all up to look absolute badass. I want to stick them in a rhino. I want to run them forward, just jump out a bunch of heavily armored sisters with fleur-de-lis maces and big shields and charge them into combat. And that's it. But I can only do it with 6 of them now. So I guess I'll just have to take 30 Seraphim.
Yeah. That's it.
The true path is being trodden.
Yes. For me, and the kind of side, I do think the Dominion squads not being able to scout forward, that actually for me, I was a bit like, I understand why you'd stop that, but the threat capability that you used to have with the army was really quite scary. Like if you got a Dawn of War deployment and I was playing like against you, suddenly I was like, how far can I actually have my units back? Can they be further than the Dawn of War deployment, like off the board, so I don't have to get shot at?
You still have huge threat range with immolators, especially the flamer versions, because they're assault. So you have, and they're 12-inch range, so you have a minimum 25-inch threat range.
They're 18.
Are they? No.
Maybe it's 12.
No.
I have no idea.
They didn't change that.
Oh gosh. 12? Maybe it is 12.
I have a concern. Immolation Flamer. No, they are still 12.
There's 12.
But Assault 2d6 on a 12-inch moving vehicle. The threat range is still minimum 25 inches.
No, but it was more the melter suddenly gets deployed.
But it just means that your melter is now doing that turn 2 instead of turn 1, which I think is okay from a balance perspective.
Yeah, no, I
don't have a massive issue with it, quite frankly.
I get it. I guess it's just when you do have another army, i.e. Space Marines, which breaks that whole first turn mechanic completely. I thought it would be interesting to have other different elements of armies that could do similar things. Sure. And when I didn't see that, I was like, okay. But then it gives them a different flavor completely. They're not Space Marines. They're not even close to Space Marines, which is, and that is a cool thing too. Groovy. Okay. Well, look. I mean, we've kind of covered the sorts of armies that we would like to play as well. I mean, for me, I'll start off with mine. I think Valorous Hawk is amazing. And I'd probably, if I was going to build a list at the moment, I'd be looking at Immolators for days.
Yeah.
So with Valorous Hawk, I'd have 3 Imagifiers all over the board. So they're ignoring those -2. I'd have my 3 Exorcists. And then I think that's all. I would just, for a competitive list, I would do like an Immolator spam list. I'd have a few Dominions in there to give me a little bit of extra AP on the certain units that you need to. And I would just go for board control. Because you're going to charge me? Great, that's fine. I'm going to flame you. You're going to try and shoot me off that objective? Well, you better have -3 weaponry. Yep. And I am going to show that. Yeah, and I'll still have an info in there as well.
Yeah.
If you look at it almost like a Wave Serpent spam-esque army, right? I think actually you could get an army with an incredible amount of board control.
Yeah.
And then the core of that could be quite interesting because you could do lots of different things with that. I mean, you could go for your... the penitent engines, but the crazy
mortifiers.
Ones. The mortifiers. You could have like a huge blob or 2 of them running up the center of the board, which have to be dealt with, while the rest of your stuff is sitting out there camping on those objectives and is impossible to move off, because even when you kill them, there's a squad that jumps out on it. And guess what? If you've done your bubbles right, they're still going to be with the -2 to get shift off there. And that's a sort of where I see these sorts of Sisters of Battle lists doing really well, especially in things like ITC.
Yeah.
I think that if you build a list around that for a survivable list, which you just can't kill, it's just going to win on objectives time again and again and again. Is it the most exciting play style? Could be. Could be, depends what that core is. Like I say, if you've got all your tactics, so all my 6 simulators go out there and all of the objectives, and like up the center of the board, kill everything in front of you. I mean, that would be cool, right? So that's the kind of thing where I see them doing really, really well. I don't know what you guys think.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I like the idea of, so I've got 6 simulators at the moment, obviously. I'd like to have bigger, just normal Battle Sister units with a simulacrum, so you can do the additional Act of Faith, and also with the little cherubs, because with the cherubs, they're there on the board, and then when you want to, you just get rid of it.
You sacrifice a cherub.
Yeah, and then you get a miracle dice, which you can re-roll.
So what? Yes. So the incenser cherub.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. So once per battle at the beginning of a phase, it can intercede. If it does, remove it from play and gain a miracle dice. But you roll 2d6 and select which one to keep.
Oh, that's what it is.
And it can only be used for that unit. But if you've got the simulacrum, so this is something that we didn't touch on, which I think is going to be very important for units of sisters.
Yeah.
If your unit has a simulacrum imperialis, it allows them to, once per phase, you can perform an act of faith for this unit, even if you've performed an act of faith elsewhere in the army.
Yeah.
So, because you can have that on your dominions, on your retributors, on your battle sisters. So it allows your basic infantry to kind of go, you know what, we can still get that cheeky 6 on a melter, even though you've used that 6 damage on an exorcist, or that 4 damage on a melter gun in another unit. So it gives you that versatility. I think you can run 15 lady squads is the maximum. 1 superior 4 battle sisters, up to 5 or up to 10. Yeah, so you can run 15 max. I think it used to be 20.
I'll probably do 10 just to keep them safe in Immolator, but it's cool to have the option to do.
Immolators are 6, are they not?
Oh, are they?
Yeah, Immolators are 6.
Oh, they are 6.
Yeah, but you can put them in a rhino.
Yeah.
No.
Immolators.
Sorry.
Immolators for days. And then...
So the Battle Sisters have some cool stuff they can do now.
Yeah.
And then Seraphim.
Yeah.
Loads of Seraphim.
And Seraphim.
Yeah, scary.
Yeah.
And Exorcists.
And
And the Triumph of St. Catherine. And everything. Give me everything. There's place of Apocalypse games.
Yeah,
I
sure.
want to know.
Well, if you were to build a list where, we've heard about Crusaders. Obviously.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think I would probably follow a similar pattern to you in terms of, I'd have a couple of Exorcists, but I would be inclined to run couple of Immolators, couple of squads of Sisters, squads in Rhinos, and then I would just shove all of those ecclesiarchy nut jobs into Immolators and run them up the field. So it's like, the Immolator's coming forward. It's like, yes, we've blown up the Immolator. We'll deal with the Sisters inside. And just 6 archoflagellants jump out and they're like, oh no.
Yeah. I don't...
Mistakes have been made.
And the best because you can auto blow up Immolators with a stratagem now. So you auto blow up Immolator.
Just drive
agro-flagellants come out.
Just drive them into the middle. A bunch of mortifiers up there. Like I would run like almost a crusading army. So I think Valorous Hawk would be the go-to. But if I had a bunch of combat type sister units in there that would benefit from the order, so your Crusaders wouldn't, your archoflagellants wouldn't, your mortifiers wouldn't, all that sort of stuff. But a nice big blob of Seraphim, and I would run them as perhaps Bloody Rose for a bit of fun and go for the combat. The only problem with that, and I know we've spoken about this and we did forget to mention it earlier, there's no Seraphim Canoness.
Oh, it sucks. Canoness the jump pack would be sweet.
It'd be really cool, or just a way to make your own living saint. I understand why, because they've obviously decided to not make a model for it, and it kind of makes sense from a fluff perspective because Celestine is the living saint of the current era. Historically, there have been other living saints. It's just a pity that they've not given you that option, so you could do kind of historical things, and just it doesn't have to be Celestine. But then at the same time, you could just run Celestine and just call her a different name. Yeah. Because she just appears.
She just shows up.
She does her thing.
When she's needed.
But a jump pack Canoness is a pity that they didn't include, because it would have been nice to have one running around. But
or not even a Canoness, just call it something else. Like it looks like a Super Seraphim and it's called a flying Canoness. The flying
Zephram
goddess. Well, I'm sure that there's like a biblical, because I think Seraphim is based off of like a rank or a hierarchy of angel, and Seraphim is just that, but with Zephyr, as in wind on it. So I'm sure someone out there will tell us whether there's like a class of angel in the biblical sense that's ranks higher, you know, not necessarily like although just calling them an archangel would have been cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that
You could call them the Emperor's Angels.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like then you've also got the Charlie's Angels reference in there, I guess, which doesn't.
And then,
doesn't
but
work,
that's
'cause
when your one
that's not what we're
missionary
going
in the
for.
army is called Bosley.
Yeah. Can I just say, just on that very quickly, I'm really glad they didn't go down like the hypersexualized route with this army.
Oh, they've
like
nailed the
they've
design.
just made them like the really faithful
They
zealotry style
like
women who have been in
in
countless
war.
battles.
Yeah.
And I think it was a fantastic choice.
Yeah.
So well done to the arts department on that. Really, really well done.
Yeah.
Look, we actually have rambled on far longer than we always do with these.
Yeah.
But
it's telling.
It's very telling.
It's
Yeah,
very
I think,
telling of this
I think
book.
everything about the book. I hope you guys agree as well. Obviously, you know, it's not going to have everything that everyone wants, but with a touch of imagination and excitement and love for a new army, which has a whole new mechanic that we haven't seen in the game like this before, in my opinion. There seems to be parallels in
There's
Age
parallels
of
in
Sigmar,
Age of Sigmar,
which
yeah.
I didn't know about, so that was really interesting to learn that. But in 40k, I think it's a really individual army. With a whole bunch of different playstyle options. We looked at things that you can do with them competitively or just for fun. There's an answer in this book, in my opinion, for any sort of playstyle. So I'm going to give it like a double thumbs up. I think it's really cool. I hope you guys feel the same. As always, let's talk about in the comments, what did you want to see more in this book? What are you really happy about that's gone, you know? And what's your favorite unit? What's the sort of army list that you're going to build? Let us know, because it's a very exciting time to have this army just brought completely back with all of these new models, and I think it should be kind of, you know, celebrated in a way, because it really was a community project.
Exactly.
This one,
It was in part. This book is in part to what everyone that did the
everyone's
survey
done, you
and
know.
stuff has asked for. So it's a collaborative effort.
yeah. So
You
well
nailed
done,
it,
well
guys.
done
Well
us.
done. Yeah.
We did it. So unless you guys have anything else to say,
30 Seraphim.
30 Seraphim. You heard it here first. The meta is changing. Look, thank you again, GW, for sending us this book ahead of time. It's absolutely incredible. Well done. This has been The Bone, Chef, and The Beard, and we will see you on a battlefield very, very soon.